leadership workshop came to me when I really needed it. I was going through the most difficult time in my work as a middle manager, especially with the challenges in working relationship with my subordinate staff. Communications were difficult, team spirit was gone, trust was broken, emotions were hurt. Most of all, workplace stress was unbearable. I was tired, felt lost, frustrated. It was like hitting a dead end. I have a relatively long career as a librarian, with my anniversary of 25 years of service this year. Over the years, I went through numerous trainings, seminars, or workshops for supervisor skills, leadership management courses, you name it, conflict management, learning organization, diversity training, etc., etc. I've also served multiple times on committees for the development of organization and organizational culture. During my entire career, I observed many of my colleagues left the institution when they had issues with people at work, especially with bosses. I'm lucky, still at the same institution for a long time. So I naively believed to myself that I probably knew better than my colleagues how to handle conflicts among people. Even I had a confidence on my capabilities. My personal life experience through a decades-long marriage life and as a mother raising 2 sons also made me believe that I have experienced enough to understand people's skills, and I regarded myself as a relatively well-rounded, reasonable person. In fact, I got along pretty well with most of the staff at work and was not only close to a workplace outcast. Until I hit last year with many workplace problems unfolding all of a sudden in front of me. That's when the leadership workshop walked into my life. My expectation for the workshop was very high, as I needed a magical solution to fix all the problems at once. I hoped to gain necessary knowledge, tricks, and secrets that I did not know yet. I was ready to learn and eager to borrow ideas from experts. But the workshop didn't really leave me with a magic potion or cure for all. Instead, the leadership workshop made me slowly but clearly realize that I should turn my fixed eyes and mindset toward myself, intentionally forcing me to reflect more on myself, my working styles, my emotions, my own communication flaws, my leadership holes rather than others. Things I learned wasn't that clear-cut or simple or technical or easy to apply. Rather, the teaching was vague and subtle and complicated. Only thing that was very clear was the realization of how complicated workplace issues could be. How much relationship intertwined between me and others. The law of action and reaction also works in any relationship between people, whether that is at work or home or anywhere people live together. Because everyone is different, every situation isn't equal. No one-size-fits-all solution exists. Preparing this script for this short video clip, I can tell you that I'm still going through some of the lingering challenges from the year before, and I'm not completely out yet from this dark tunnel. I'm in the middle of the tunnel, and it is very dark at the moment. I'm not sure if I will ever completely get out of this depressing long tunnel anytime soon. But I like to believe that the circle of the light at the end of this tunnel is getting a tiny bit bigger every day, or a tiny bit brighter every day, as long as I continue to work for myself and reflect on my performance consciously and diligently. We often say people don't change and you can't change other people. We love to say this when we want to give up, or simply when our egos don't want to cooperate. The belief on people don't change conveniently allows us to give up on others as well as ourselves. I don't mind giving up on others. Let them be what they like to be. But I can't give up myself because I love myself. I like to give it a try for myself to be a better person. I don't have to be a great leader, but I want to be a good human being and a respectable colleague. The workshop reinforced me. The change only comes from me, not from others. Especially difficult people that I wish they won't change easily. But we know it's much easier or faster to make a change on ourselves than others, simply because we know ourselves best and we care about ourselves the most, and we genuinely are all selfish, more interested on ourselves. I can't imagine how much our workplace would be better if we all try to reflect first on ourselves and make a small change. I'm not saying change is easy. No, not at all. That's exactly why I need to remember the very first lesson that I learned at the workshop, the Wisdom of Lao Tzu. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. The focus here is not the destination of the journey, but our willingness to take the very first step. We may not arrive at the destination. Many of us might eventually give up in the middle of the journey, and many of us will never bother to take a step and stay where they are. But I believe it is worthwhile to take one step out, which will take us to a different but only better place. Over the year, I'm proud to say that I took the very first step in this journey. I asked our dear CEAL colleague to join the journey and possibly the destination too, which will be somewhere over the rainbow, way up high. Thank you.
Wow, another year has passed, one not so different from 2021, where together we reflected and worked through the impact of the pandemic on our workflow, transitions from analog to digital workplaces, and the new Zoom home of our virtual community. We were all striving to adapt our leadership to the challenges that flowed through us from the variant outbreaks of the pandemic, the horrible and random instances of discrimination and acts of cruelty toward Asian and Pan-Asian American communities, and the fraying of our social fabric, a fabric woven with strength and commitment to building community for a long, long time. Throughout the CEAL leadership, we had the opportunity to learn how challenges we face as leaders shared both similar and different experiences, depending on the constituents we serve, our roles in upholding the highest standards in our institutions, professional organizations, and honoring the responsibility to our users. For me, the real gift of the CEAL Leadership Institute was the community we shared, the network of technical processing, collection development, and reference services coming together in a virtual world. In the Library of Congress, I adopted the sense of community that we share and expanded my leadership style to work more closely with our international vendors and the curatorial division with policy and training to continue envisioning a larger and broader backdrop with library and international partnerships. I also applied next practices of digital resources, adapting to a relatively new environment by fully transitioning to a digital workflow and encouraging staff to participate in e-resource training and for acquisitions and cataloging, and to explore digital humanities and open access resources. I also learned to continue expanding connectivity, looking for enthusiastic collaboration through promoting virtual internships and work-study programs. Finally, one of the greatest takeaways was the impact of learning to offer solutions by listening to staff concerns and incorporating them into a process for mapping change, for adapting to the challenges we face by turning them into opportunities. Thank you all very much.
Thanks for the opportunity to say a few words about 2021 CEAL Leadership Training Institute that I very fortunately attended. Overall, the Institute stood out as a most relevant and well-organized institute I ever attended for the past 20 plus years being a librarian. I think there are 3 reasons for that. 1, excellent balance between management theories and experiences shared. 2, instructors understood us culturally and therefore their experience and perspectives are very relevant. 3, the tips shared and ways work around issues are inspirational. It made me realize the instructors and attendees have more similarities than differences. I took away many great advices and tips, but points below helped me on my daily work since then. Number 1, system thinking, as expressed by Greg Yao. This thinking requires me to step back to think UCLA EAL as a part of a bigger organization. I need to think whom in the system will be affected and how and when to communicate with them about a work that we are planning. Number 2, what can I do for you? As shared by Shimao Wang. Instead of asking my boss for what I need, now I ask, what can I do for you? Of course, it requires thorough homework, and it might not work on every occasion, but it is a golden principle to keep in mind. Number 3, we are DEI, as Peter Zhou put very nicely and timely. As librarians, working in the field of East Asian studies, we are equipped with a different set of skills, including cultural, language, subject knowledge. In the context of DEI, we are DEI, but how to position ourselves in the DEI environment and make it work for our patrons and collections, it requires further training and learning from each other. I hope we can make great progress in those areas. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my reflections on 2021 CEAL Leadership Institute. My primary motivation for attending the Leadership Institute was to improve my leadership skills and prepare for bigger roles in my future career. Through the 2-day training, I gained a better understanding of what leadership means to people at various levels of positions. The majority of East Asian study librarians, including myself, do not have managerial and supervisory duties. However, we can implement situational leadership to lead projects, committees, and initiatives in libraries and professional organizations. Managers and supervisors are not always effective leaders. The desire to make a difference in your work, library, and profession is the most important trait of leadership in academic librarianship. Another takeaway I learned from the Leadership Institute is how to communicate effectively as a leader. Leaders must have effective communication skills to advocate, negotiate, and influence. As a first-generation immigrant, I often have to overcome language and cultural barriers to communicate clearly, powerfully, and diplomatically with the library administration. I am very grateful to Maureen Sullivan, Peter Zhou, Greg Yao, Jessalyn Zoom, and Xuma Wang for generously sharing their knowledge and experience with us on best practices and strategies. In particular, systematic thinking and getting to a balcony have prompted me to consider a broader perspective in my daily work and professional activities. We should strive for win-win situation by using effective communication skills to meet the interests and goals of both the mainstream and our specialized areas. Last but not least, I feel so fortunate to have the opportunity to work with Xiang Li in developing and organizing the Leadership Institute's programs. I had no idea how leadership was defined or what leadership meant in academic librarianship before she invited me to the task force. I would like to express my deep gratitude to Xiang for introducing me to the field and making the Leadership Institute a reality. Thank you.
Hello, colleagues. Thank you for this opportunity to reflect on the 2021 Leadership Institute and to share my deep gratitude for the opportunity to participate. A full year has passed, and I am still struck by the many ways the Institute continues to inspire reflection and optimism in my outlook towards leadership. As I look back, one of my biggest takeaways is how phenomenal each and every speaker was, how relatable their stories were, and how each speaker offered inspiring and often personal examples from their own paths to leadership. These truly helped me to more fully appreciate the leadership potential that I have in myself. A frequent theme that resonated for me was the emphasis on effective communication strategies, frameworks, and styles. Another critical theme for me was that leadership can and should be learned and practiced, and that it is sometimes unexpected, quiet, and a profound service to our profession. To the members of the task force, your phenomenal work in organizing this institute has offered a true model for leadership in itself, and this inspires me as your colleague and fellow member of CEAL. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Jessalyn Zoom from the Library of Congress. I was a participant of the CEAL Inaugural Leadership Institute held in 2021. During the Institute, I gave a presentation on strategic leadership, conducting strategic planning and goal setting. In this short video, I'd like to share my experience of continuing to align my work responsibilities with the library's strategic goals and directional plan in 2022. To be able to measure the effectiveness of the job, it is important to be able to translate strategic goals into operational plans and align those goals with our day-to-day activities. When you are able to articulate your job in alignment with your institution's directional plan, you will have demonstrated the impact made to advance the mission of your institution, and you will be one step closer to assume higher responsibilities. One of the objectives in my service unit's directional plan is to increase user discoverability of collection items. To achieve that as a division, we must meet the unit's key performance indicator, or KPI, and its performance target by providing bibliographic records for the newly acquired material. To support the curatorial divisions for their unprocessed rare and non-rare material, my team collaborated with colleagues in those divisions to make case to the senior management and highlight the importance of making the material accessible, some of which are unique or the only copies in existence. After many rounds of discussion and meetings, we received approval of a cataloging contract for the Hebrew rare and non-rare material. We also brought on board a Tibetan cataloging librarian, our first such position ever in the library, to catalog Tibetan and South Asian rare material and manuscript. With these resources, we will be able to elevate the production goal, at the same time strengthen our support to the curatorial divisions by making the library collections discoverable and accessible to researchers and the general public. Are you aspired to become a leader of your institution? How are you aligning your work with your institution's strategic plans? And what are your strategies to help advance the mission of your institution? Thanks for listening. I wish you the very best as you embark on a journey to chart the course.
Hello, colleagues. I'm Xiang. I'm one of the organizers of CEAL Leadership Institute, and I'm also one of the devoted students of the institute. I would like to share my learning journey and my understanding of leadership with you, because I believe that you, like me, will benefit from further exploration and exposure to the concept and the practice of leadership. In summer of 2018, along with 3 other talented colleagues from CEAL, Hyokyoung, Sharon, and Tang, we took on the task of planning and organizing a CEAL Leadership Institute. Now, as I think about it, it was a bold move because none of the 4 of us on the task force had ever held an administrator position or had conducted research on leadership. So we were like this naive but brave team, packed up and ready to go hunting for a beast that nobody have ever seen. We began by reading literature, discussing, brainstorming, and surveying the CEAL community with the goal of mastering the basic series of leadership, and found a topic or topics that are of most relevance and interest to our CEAL members. At that point, my understanding of leadership stays at the level of library management. Managing a library, how hard can that be? Give me the power, I can do it. That's my understanding. So easy. But to be honest, after a year-long reading, understanding, thinking, and discussing with my fellow task force members, consulting with active leaders in the field, as well as my participation in the later training program, I had a completely different view on leadership. First, there are fundamental differences between leadership and management. Leadership requires creating shared vision, building a team, and the ability to get others to voluntarily follow you and contribute to the achievement of a common goal. Leadership is not the power and the authority that comes with a position. Rather, it's the relationship and the trust you have built around you. Second, leadership requires high level of determination and willingness to take on responsibilities. You don't have to wait to be on a supervisory position in order to become a leader. In our daily work, leadership opportunities are everywhere, potentially. When and only when you are willing to take on more responsibilities, you begin building people's trust on you and start your leadership journey. Third, leadership is not only managing your subordinates, but truly it's about influencing others, including our peers, colleagues, and even our bosses. Though there are 2 chapters in the book reframing academic leadership that I would like to recommend to everyone. One is entitled Leading from the Middle. The other is Managing Your Boss. I would like to end with a quote from a Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu, which I was surprised to see multiple times in books and articles on leadership. It says, "A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step." Let's begin our journey. Thank you.